Okay, I think we're good now. I had the mic unplugged. What a rookie error that was. Man, I went through the intro. There was no issues except for the audio issues. There was no audio issues. The audio issue was simply I did not have it plugged in. Oh my goodness. What a rookie. Thumbs down in the chat. Not on the stream itself, but in the chat. I deserve one for that one. The Boo Bird should be loud and proud after that mishap. Well, thanks for everybody tuning in tonight. Let me reiterate myself on the mic this time. We are set for a NASCAR 6 Total Team Control double header tonight. Busch Series and Cup Series. And to do it for Dale's Series, we're starting off with the Busch side of things at the Dodge Raceway Stadium. Of course, the third mile short track inside a football stadium. A track that, for those of you who may have played the NASCAR EA Sports games in the past or have watched the NASCAR 05 or Cup Series races on the channel, you know exactly what this racetrack is. Now, just wrapped up qualifying in practice for the Busch Series, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. was able to qualify on the pole. So starting out in front, was fastest in practice as well. I think he's going to have a very, very good run today. New Joji, Roblox Gamer, Michael Turner, Billy Carjoy, Jacob Givens, and others, welcome into the stream. This is going to be interesting. We got this, and then we have a cup race at Pocono, which I've not ran at on an EA Sports game ever since NASCAR Thunder 2004, because that track was not in NASCAR 05, so it is going to be an interesting one, to say the least, tonight. I have more confidence with this first race, which, knowing the point situation for Dale Jr. is a must. Just 21 races to go in the season, 20 after tonight's race. And this is going to be a quick one as well. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as usual. Live race commentary, the real races on the race weekend. 2 of them this weekend on the channel. Tomorrow night I'll be doing live commentary for the Truck Series race at Nashville. That'll start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be doing live commentary for the Cup race as well. No stream on Saturday. Plan on videotaping a vlog from a local dirt track this weekend. Special occasion coming up. I can't wait to give you guys the details on that further on. But thanks again for tuning in. Toxic Punk Youngboy, Patrick Shadley, welcome to the stream as well. Need double max points today, 2 W's. We'll see if we can get it done. And let's get this race underway today. The Ritz Oreo paint scheme is back on the car for Dale Jr. Will that bring good luck to his side? He's had a lot of good luck as of late, even without it. We'll see if it'll continue as the green flag is in the air and we're underway at the Dodge Raceway short track. Dale Jr. going to lead lap 1, looking to dominate. Likely going to be a 1 pit stop race today if I had to assume. But these guys should be able to go 150 laps on fuel. You do not want to be back in traffic. Point of emphasis was to get this car trimmed out for qualifying, which he did. And honestly, his setup in practice through qualifying and now into the race has not changed. Nailed it from the get-go. But definitely wanted that good starting position and already is pulling away just a few laps in, leading the first 3 laps. Bobby Labonte also started on the front row and second on the outside. He lost a couple spots before able to get back down to the bottom. This is not Roblox, this is racing. This is normal NASCAR 06. Am I a boomer if I ask what Roblox is? I feel like I am. Is that a boomer statement? This is a fantasy track, this is not a real racetrack. But for those that might have watched the LA Coliseum, same concept here. Only difference is the live pit stops that are going to be taking place are going to be on the outside of the racetrack. Kind of a road course style pit stop. Having to service the car from the right side versus the left side. No ovals on the actual circuit that are like that. And also for those of you that might have watched the Busch Clash at the LA Coliseum earlier this year would know that there were no live pit stops because it was a small racetrack. Less than a half mile in length. That was a quarter mile. This is a third mile. The same circumstance that the infield is not big enough to pit this many race cars, 43 in the Busch Series in 2005. But Dale Jr. is putting a beating on the field early. Didn't catch any cars in practice, though, is going to be the sad part. Has no idea how the car is going to handle in traffic. and how he is going to get through the field. Has to be patient when he gets to the back of the pack. Right now he can run and hide and put the pedal to the metal, but once he catches the back of the field and gets into lap traffic, he's going to have to be very patient getting through it and not force himself into a major mistake. Easier said than done. Like, game makers make games, post roadblocks, and people play. It doesn't. I still don't understand the concept of it. Is it like a? Is it almost like not? It's not a console, I wouldn't imagine, but is it almost like a? Man, I don't play online either, so I don't know how. Is it like a STEM thing? Because this game itself is on my PS2, so it's a console game. Jerry Faznat, welcome to the stream. Yeah, the truck series the last couple nights is pretty bad on the channel. Hopefully we can bounce back in the next truck race, but today it's all about bouncing back in the Busch and Cup series. One-stop race, yeah, I think so too. It should be. The Pocono race later is probably going to be 2. It's 250 miles, maybe even 3, considering field window is going to be shorter than normal, being a 50% race. Dale Jr. looking to the inside of the first lap car. He catches, not going to waste much time to get there. Backed way out of the gas at turns 1 and 2. Let that car go to the outside. Wasn't going to force the issue. Second place is starting to close in on Dale Jr. after Jr.'s led the first 20 laps. He's definitely being patient. He doesn't want to make any contact and risk wrecking a race car around him. Can't blame him. Don't want to go to the back of the pack for causing an accident. He's kept the car spotless, at least so far. Has a 1-second lead. I think it's JJ Yaley in second, but I'm not entirely sure. He's got room. Car's up high. And Junior got to clear his first lap car into turn 1. Obviously, he's got a lot more where that came from. Tells you how short of a track we're on. The 20 laps in, we're already in lap traffic. Junior trying to get through here as cleanly as possible. You're going to see contact throughout the course of the day today, with this just being a very tight racetrack. Tight confines for these drivers to race in. And a lot of side-by-side racing at the back of the pack right now. These guys are holding on to it for the most part. I see that 64, Jamie McMurray towards the back. He hasn't had some great runs in the Busch Series at times this season. This is another poor qualifying effort, at least, for him. Junior did not want to take it 3 wide going into turn 1 that time. Backed out of the gas, let that car in the middle go. Back to side-by-side again, was able to make it through the corner unscathed. Hooking the bottom, his lead is only about 7/10 of a second now, over second place. Apron looks tricky. I will say I didn't touch it much in practice, but the few times I've ran on it in the race, it feels comfortable down there. Like, it doesn't feel like the car is edgy at all. Some of it could be the setup as well. And I think the next car in line behind Dale Jr. is the second place car. A couple car lengths behind into turns 1 and 2. Solid points days, big for Dale Jr. Again, 11th in points, 347 out of first coming into tonight's race. The last NASCAR 06 race for the Busch Series this week, and the Cup Series as well, coming up later on this stream. I saw Jacob Givens comment in the chat earlier, his predictions that the Busch race is going to be shorter than the Cup race later. That is definitely possible, even though the Cup race is only going to be 250 laps. 3 wide into turns 3 and 4. Junior going to complete the pass, though, on both drivers cleanly. Gets up into the next car in front of him, though. Trying to get away. That stalled him out a little bit. Only the second piece of contact he's made with another car today. R6, welcome into the chat. Over 20 people watching the stream already tonight. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Hit that like button and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Live race commentary tomorrow night for the truck race at Nashville and the Cup race on Sunday at Nashville. Same realistic commentary you see for these races during the week on these streams as well. A videoing another vlog this weekend from a racetrack, going to my local dirt track Saturday night. So no live race commentary for the Xfinity race this weekend, as well as video game side. There's no live stream in general Saturday. Going to take that day off on the channel. Definitely have a lot of fun content coming from it that night at the track. Old Spice is your favorite fantasy track? That's definitely my, well, maybe not my favorite fantasy road course. I really like Speedway Boulevard a lot. Oh, loose moment for Junior. That time, the car did not hold down well on the apron. That was a close call. He had a bit of a wiggle, and of course on over 40 lap older tires right now, it's going to be a little bit different trying to run the apron compared to the very early going, especially in the clean air. Getting squeezed a little bit. Still led every lap so far. One thing that is pretty frequent with short tracks around the world, of course in the US primarily, but any kind of short track racing in any series around the nation, you see a lot of flows in the battle for the lead. Sometimes they'll have it, and even over the course of a long green flag run, it gets spaced out. They find a way to bunch back together with the heavy dosage of lap traffic. Especially in the long green flag runs. I'm sure we'll see some cautions at some point today. I wouldn't doubt that it'd be in the middle of green flag pit stops. With a very awkward pit entry and exit on the outside. Not something you usually see on ovals. Didn't have any issues with it in practice and did make a practice stop. But it's definitely going to be very sketchy just get back onto the track, especially. And trying to get to an outside lane, because the outside is not somewhere you want to be typically at this racetrack. So you can obviously tell the passing lane is the bottom, right around that yellow line, maybe even below it at times. Junior still mowing his way through, though. So far, so good. Can I pass anyone on the outside? Nah, I have enough speed. I don't want to test it. I haven't ran the outside at all. I didn't run around any cars in practice, so I don't even know what kind of grip's up there, let alone trying to hang on. Hopefully Dale Jr. can stay on the bottom. That's a pretty significant contact with another lap car. Got into him again in turns 1 and 2. And Dale Jr. trying to find his way through, finally does. He stretched that lead back out a little bit again. It's now to 1.4 seconds. So although the lap traffic has been slowing up, Dale Jr. has been slowing up that second place car a little bit more over the last few laps. Official Landon Castle, welcome to the stream. LGBT NASCAR fan, welcome as well. DW's Booty Cheese, welcome to the stream. See Martin Truex Jr. towards the rear of the field right now. He could be in danger of going a lap down in the early going. He's higher in the point standings than Dale Jr. has been most of the year. Truex almost got in the tire barriers at the front of the pit road entrance that time. Truex is just stuck on the outside with nowhere to go currently. Keeps losing positions. Had a chance to get back down to the bottom and does underneath the 64 of McMurray. I believe is already one lap down. Dale Jr. closing in. 3 wide on the backstretch into turn 3. Jr. makes the pass. Second time he's been 3 wide today, and it's actually worked. There's been no contact with it, believe it or not. And Jr.'s just got a fast race car. 2 seconds now is the lead, his largest of the race in the early going. 60 laps in, starting to get through the lap traffic a little bit better than the rest of the field. And if he can somehow lead all 300 laps today, which I don't think is going to be possible, but if he does, that's obviously going to help the 81 as well. Not allowing anybody else to get any sort of bonus points for leading laps. Jr. just going to sit behind his teammate Truex for a little bit. He's leaving a lot of bottom open, though, for him. Jr. doesn't want to put Martin Truex Jr. a lap down if he can help it. But if Truex is going to start holding him up too much, and second place starts to run down Dale Jr., he's not going to be so patient after that. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Riding this bottom lane pretty consistently right now, right behind Truex. Clint Bowyer gets shuffled to the outside by the 83 car. Truex looking to get around Bowyer. Bowyer comes in as the points leader. That would definitely be a big factor in the point standings if Jr. could put Bowyer a lap down. Bowyer's on an absolute hot streak. He's won the last 2 races as well. And he's got 4 wins total on the season. And he's about to fall a lap down right now. Into turns 1 and 2. Jr. on the bottom. Bowyer just to the outside, trying to hang on into number 2 for Richard Childress Racing. Little bump from Dale Jr. He got into him and he moves him up the racetrack. An aggressive move by Earnhardt. The first major one today, a bump and run to get around Bowyer. And we stay green, which is the best thing, because if a caution would have came out there, Jr. would have had to been punished for causing an accident, but he did not. And now Truex is going to get moved out of the way by the last car in the lead lap. And Dale Jr. is going to get to the inside of his teammate in the Chance 2 Motorsports machine. And Dale Jr. is going to put Truex a lap down. Truex is going to get back into the free pass position, likely into turns 3 and 4. So at least if we get a quick yellow. Bad night for Bowyer, good for Dale. Yeah, we can make up some massive points here. I'm liking this race already. Dale Jr. is looking bad fast and looking like the one to beat early on. Kind of figured that from practice and qualifying alone, but now that we're into the race and even in traffic for the first time, we're in this race weekend, Dale Jr. is having himself a good night. Trying to keep this hot streak alive in the Busch Series and that comeback trail alive in the Busch Series as well. Ace of Spades. 5597, welcome to the stream. Black Superman, welcome to the stream as well. I didn't see you in the poop in my butt. Welcome to the stream. What is that? Pretty self-explanatory name. That is where it comes from. Contact with the 2 lap cars in front of Dale Jr. Jr. went to the bottom 3 wide, backs out of the gas, gonna let those guys go. Tony Raines in the 33 car was one of them to the outside. Now Raines is the only car to the outside of Dale Jr. Now he'll lap him. So Clint Bowyer trapped a lap down right now. Even Martin Truex Jr. is a lap down, so a couple drivers in the top 10 of the standings ahead of Dale Jr. struggling at the beginning of this race today. Dale Jr. by far is not struggling. in this number 81 machine and has about a 3-second lead. Contact getting into turn 1 as he got pinched off. About 3 wide getting into the corner, and car in the middle kind of chopped off Dale Earnhardt Jr. a little bit. Jr. getting into the left rear of another car, the 116, moving him up out of the way. Truex trying to fight back through the traffic as much as he can. And the right front's starting to wear out on Dale Jr.'s race car, of course, with this being a flatter racetrack. That right front's really going to go through a lot of stress. Not even halfway through the fuel run right now, and the right front's already starting to wear out quite a bit, so it's going to be really old towards the back of the run, I'd have to imagine. Definitely a one-stop race, by the way. If we made it past lap 75, which we did, before hitting the halfway mark on fuel, that it was going to be a one-stop scheduled race. And I'm sure we'll see some cars pit as soon as that window opens to the end. We know for a fact Dale Jr. is not going to be one of those cars to pit. Not right away, at least. We'll take our first field pass of the race today. We'll see what Martin Truex Jr. is up to in the number 8. 3 wide and some contact up ahead of race leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now. Truex closing in on his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 81. We'll see if he can maybe get back on the lead lap. Jr.'s pulling away a little bit from second place. Truex into the free pass position, going to go low underneath his teammate Earnhardt. Into turns 1 and 2, and Martin Truex Jr. has unlapped himself. And Jr. still lapping other cars as well. It's allowing Truex to get away more and more and more. And we're back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. So Truex back on the lead lap. Jr. now about halfway on fuel, a little less than that than the last few laps. 3 wide to the inside goes Dale Earnhardt. Thought about it, but then backed off, went down to the apron, stayed left and out of the way. February 18, 2001. I'm not even going to read the rest of that. Welcome to the stream. I know what you mean by that. I know that date and its significance with NASCAR history, and that's messed up. Hopefully you're a Michael Waltrip fan, and that's the reason why, but I doubt it. Thanks for tuning in, though. Santiago Kid, welcome to the stream. I'd much prefer the poop in my butt username than that one. Truex pulling away from the 81 of Dale Jr. right now. He's got a really good long-run race car. Any adjustments I can make? I don't want to touch it, honestly. Jr. did have a 3.6 second lead. It's down to about 3 seconds even now. But again, that kind of flows through lap traffic a little bit as well. Jr. getting squeezed a bit off the exit of turn 4. Truex stuck on the outside for the time being. He's going to try to get back down to the bottom as soon as he can. Dale Jr. is going to let him in line to do so. Back off a little bit. Give the 8 car a little bit more room. Trying to hold the 21 of Miller back. Clint Boyer's going to drive underneath Miller through turns 1 and 2, and Boyer's trying to get the free pass position. Dale Jr.'s got to get going. He needs to keep Boyer lapped down, trying to think big picture for the championship here. He sat behind his teammate a little bit longer again, but Truex stuck on the outside behind the 152 car. Can't go anywhere. Jr.'s going to lap Truex. Boyer back into the free pass spot, getting around Truex through turns 3 and 4 that time, picking him behind the lap car as well. And also that lead was starting to shrink more and more the more Dale Jr. was sitting behind Truex. He didn't want to wait too long and have that gap close too much, too quickly. Back to managing that 2+ second lead. Moment through turns 1 and 2. Dale Jr. making some clean passes again. Over 100 laps in, caution free so far tonight in the Busch series. Many of the series have caused quite a few yellows on a consistent basis. It'd probably be the Busch Series. But so far today, on the shortest track on the circuit this season, not only Dale Jr.'s dominated, but it's been a pretty straightforward race. Caution-free over the first 100 laps in. And this has the capability of going on for less than an hour and a half in length tonight. Part of the reason why I want to do a doubleheader, and I figured, well, if there's a 50% Cup race at Pocono up next, might as well get it out of the way. Same day I'm doing one of the shortest Busch Series races of the season, even though this one's 100%. That Pocono race is probably going to fly by as well. Junior getting hung up on the left rear of another car off the exit of turn 2. 6.4 seconds. Farted on him, son. Welcome to the stream. What is with these names? Everybody hit that like button who hasn't consistently had 20 plus viewers. I think we had up to 23 at one point in time. Only 13 likes on the stream so far. Helps me out a ton with the algorithm. And we'll have 2 trivia questions tonight on the channel, by the way. 1 in each race at about the halfway mark in both of them. I do have the first question prepped and ready to go. It's kind of a tough one. I don't know what I'm going to have in the second race. I'll have a Nashville track fact in the first race, considering that the Cup Series and really all 3 of NASCAR's main series is going to be race at Nashville this weekend. Hold on a moment there, as got a car blowing up trying to get to the outside of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, causes a little bit of a stack up. Dale Jr. stays low, got to get out of the way. I couldn't tell who that lap car was on the outside, but they were able to get there. And I would assume they're going to be able to get to pit road, and they do. So on the back straightaway, which is the entrance to pit road, this very unique pit lane on this racetrack, is able to get into the pits. We stay green, still caution-free. We have not had a caution-free Busch or Cup Series. This will be the first Busch race to go caution-free. So there's no live leaderboard in this game, Jacob, even if you pause it. I know in NASCAR Thunder, you can pause it, go through the running order and all that. NASCAR 05 on through at least 07, I don't think you can do that. Then 08 and 09, there's a live leaderboard at the top of the screen that you could have scrolling. But I know for a fact 05 we couldn't, and I don't think that's an option in NASCAR 6 to check that stuff either. There's no physical way to tell how many cars are a lap down. Quite a few of them, though, that's for sure. We'll bump to the car right in front of Dale Jr. 3.5 second lead. About as big of a lead as Dale Jr.'s had today. Still a long ways to go. Forward Stock Car Racing Association, welcome to the stream. Larry Mack loves... Oh, jeez. These names tonight. Contact. Beating and banging through turns 3 and 4. 3 wide up ahead of Dale Jr. as well. Off the exit of the corner, still 3 wide. Into turn 3. Trying to make it through there unscathed. Jamie McMurray was already 2 laps down, about to go a 3rd lap down shortly in that 64 car. Jr. struggled down on the apron, getting into 3. The rear wheel started sliding out a little bit from underneath him. I wonder if that right front tire is even going to be able to go a full fuel run. He's been putting a lot of stress on it. It was in the yellow well before he had hit the halfway mark on fuel, so it's definitely going to be in the red, I'd have to imagine, sometime before long. And you can definitely tell the handling's going away on the 81 at this point in the run as well. Of course, on over 100 lap old tires, it's going to do that at any track. Really wide off the exit of turn 2. Had that extra space to work with. The entrance / exit to pit road opening up. And the wall opening up on the back straightaway as well. No caution. This track would be impressive. Yes, it would. I still don't think it's going to happen, though. I mean, we're not even halfway yet. We're getting close to halfway, but we're not quite there yet. It does seem like the car is loose on corner entry and tight off middle exit. It's kind of the issues with the handling Dale Jr. has been dealing with lately. Got no clue exactly how far the pit window is on fuel. I'd have to imagine it's probably just over 160 laps. He's got hung up on the 152 car in front of him off turn 4, stacking up Earnhardt a little bit. A lot of side-by-side traffic in front of Dale Jr. again. He's trying to make his way through. 152 trying to go to the middle. Between the race leader and Jamie McMurray. Nice guy. Welcome to the stream. What is... why do we keep getting a bunch of Eric Estep fake death news in the chat? I don't know if it's the same person or not every time. But we keep getting that a lot in the chat over the last like month or so, and I find it kind of odd. I think it's the shortest race in any NASCAR game, this one. It's also true. I think just because of the length of it itself, like 300 laps isn't that long around a third-mile short track. Obviously the Busch and Truck Series race lengths aren't as long in general. Quarter tank of gas left for Dale Jr., lap 135. Tony Raines just went a second lap down. Definitely going to have to watch for cars trying to pit as well. Again, Jr. can be involved in an accident. So if that window does open up, he's involved in it. He can't pit for fuel or tires. That would absolutely ruin his race. If he has to make a green flag stop under those kind of circumstances. Oh, we got that going on in the chat. It's been a little bit. Pause it when I get to the back straightaway. Maybe. Car's pitting. Off of turn 2. Window is likely open to the end of the race. Just shy of the halfway mark right now. Up to 17 likes on the stream. Thanks for everybody smashing that like button. I get that more than one people probably did report, but I still want to get on that myself because the more people that do it, the better. No, don't sign up. Oscar Ramirez Herrera, welcome to the stream. Oh, contact. One car just exited the pit lane. That's where I think we're going to see a yellow as the transition for cars making their way onto pit road and other cars making their way off of pit lane. Trying to merge themselves back into the racing line. And then the fight for the bottom from there. Dale Jr.'s got a 4.5 second lead, his largest lead of the race. Only a handful of the cars on the lead lap pit. They know that they do not want a short pit at this racetrack. The window's open to make it to the end. But stay out as long as you can. It is not worth trying to pit early. If there is a caution that could trap you, not just one, but you're going to go 2 to 3 laps down at this track. It is a very long pit road. And our lap times are right around 13 seconds a lap, roughly. And that's even this late in the run, or the laps Dale Jr. is running early in the run. It's probably under that 13-second lap mark easily. Frank Franklin, welcome into the chat. Stock car number 81 tonight, actually. It's a number in the Busch series. I mean, I guess we switched to Martin Truex Jr. for a little bit earlier, and we'll do that again soon. One lap away from the trivia question, race 1 of the doubleheader tonight on the channel. It'll be a Nashville Super Speedway track fact with the NASCAR Premier Series going there. All three, the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series will be at Nashville this weekend. I think ARCA may be there as well. So it is time. We're halfway. We've got more of the leaders heading into the pits. Tonight's trivia question is a NASCAR Xfinity Nashville Super Speedway track fact. Kyle Busch won last year's Xfinity race from the pole at Nashville. He was the first driver to win multiple times from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Nashville. Only one other driver has even won one race from the pole at Nashville. Who was the other driver, other than Kyle Busch, to win from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Nashville? That is tonight's trivia question. Who is the only driver outside of Kyle Busch to win from the pole in an Xfinity race at Nashville Super Speedway? That is tonight's trivia question. No hints in the chat. I'll give you guys to lap 175 to try and figure it out. First one to get it correct in the chat wins. I will say it's a tough question. You're going to have to think outside the box on this one. On a 3-wide racing, almost contact going down into turn 1 for Dale Jr. Squeezing J.J. Yaley in the middle. One car got sideways trying to lock it up, trying to get down to pit road speed before entering the pits. Didn't lose control though, we stay green. Dale Jr. has a 1-lap lead on the field as a lot of the cars that have already pitted. In fact, every car in the lead lap has pitted. There might be some cars that haven't pitted yet that are still 1 lap down. Jr. still doesn't want to pit. There's not Brad Keselowski, not Briscoe. Remember, Briscoe did not run a race at Nashville Super Speedway until last season when NASCAR went back. Cautions out, lap 158, our first of the race. Took over halfway into this one before seeing the first yellow. One car is slammed into the tire barrier at the front of the pit road entrance. I think it was a car that had actually tried to make their way onto the track after exiting pit road and just ran out of room. So that will be the first yellow. Dale Jr. will pit under the caution. He had a 1-lap lead on the field. Everybody who has not pitted will pit now. It'll be 4 tires and fuel. No adjustments for Dale Jr. as he has a chance to try and lead wire to wire in today's Busch Series race. Marquise Carter, welcome to the stream as well. Jeffrey Earnhardt, Kyle Larson, Jimmy Johnson also not correct. So again, tonight's trivia question, who is the only driver to start from the pole at Nashville Super Speedway and win an Xfinity race other than Kyle Busch? Only one other driver did so. Busch did it twice. One other driver did it once. Here's the 4-tire stop for the 81 crew. Not a lot of damage on the race car. And considering that he was the only car in the lead lap when that caution came out, everybody on the lead lap had already pitted before Dale Jr. Jr. stayed out past the halfway mark for that reason. Make sure he doesn't go a lap down here either. So work his way back out onto the racetrack. Gillen, Harvick, Jeff Gordon, not correct. Nope, still haven't seen it yet. Green flag back in the air. Dale Jr. will restart in the lead. Truex underneath. I'm going to try to get back on the lead lap on the restart and does. Dale Jr. stuck on the outside. Forces his way down to the bottom quickly. In line. That was an aggressive move by Dale Jr. He wants to get back into this clean air and try to lap the field again. So Truex is in second. Having the field a lap down was big for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Don't know if we're maybe going to get a debris caution or not. Or another yellow with the stack up on the restart could definitely happen. Jr. wants to make sure he's going to be the only car on the lead lap the rest of this race if he can help it. It's not Dale Jr., not Carl Edwards. You guys have 10 more laps to try and figure out tonight's trivia question. Not Truex. King Diamond Jeff, welcome into the stream. Good run for Chance 2 Motorsports today, though, with Truex in second now. Well, about to be passed for third. Dale Jr. in second. One car goes up to block Truex going into the corner. That was Aaron Crocker with the slide job. That's going to open the door up on the bottom for Dale Jr. to get through. And Truex is going to cross Crocker over as well to get back to second and be the first car one lap down. Team orders are going to allow for Dale Jr. to hang on in front of Truex at least, as Truex is going to just sit behind the 81. And they're going to just try to pull away together for the moment. So again, Dale Jr. a one-lap lead on the field. Caution came out in the middle. Green flag stops, trapping everybody else a lap down. Jr. did not make his green flag stop yet. He has led every lap from the pole in this race so far. Had about a 4.5 second lead before green flag stops. And that was a massive caution for Dale Jr. that may have helped him lock this win up as long as he stays out of trouble. We'll see if we get any more cautions the rest of the way for anybody to get the free pass. It's definitely possible. We get a long string of yellow flags in this race, with it being a short track, definitely possible as well. We can bring other drivers back in. Ryan Blaney, Ty Gibbs, JJ Yaley. I like that answer, but that is not it. Ryan Newman is not correct. This one is hard. Yes, it is. See a couple JJ Yaleys. I like that, though. You're going to have to think outside the box on this one. One more lap. I don't know if anybody's going to get it. I was kind of shocked that I looked at it. Only one driver. They only had about a dozen races there, but still, outside of Kyle Busch, only one other driver had ever qualified on the pole and won an Xfinity race at Nashville Super Speedway. It is not Mark Martin. The time is out, ladies and gentlemen. Not Tyler Reddick. The answer to tonight's trivia question, to the only other driver outside of Kyle Busch to win from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Nashville Super Speedway, the answer is Reed Sorensen. Reed Sorensen in 2005, coincidentally, the season in which this game takes place, was the only driver outside of Kyle Busch to win from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Nashville Super Speedway. That's why I like that JJ Yaley answer, because I needed you guys to think more outside the box. That's why I kind of said that to begin with, just kind of hoping we were going to get some oddball answers in there. Got a Gilliland answer in there, too. Luckily, there's another one. Yes, this is true. We'll have another trivia question during our second race of the doubleheader tonight at Pocono. 50% race. Definitely a tough one today. I do my research. It's a lot easier to get tougher questions. Isn't Dodge Raceway the shortest track on the game? Yes. Yep, 3rd mile, short track around a football field inside the football stadium. A precursor to what we saw at the LA Clash earlier this year. In real life in NASCAR. Not as tight on the straightaways as the course at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Come on. Lock the brakes up into turn 1, trying to keep it off McMurray. Martin Truex Jr. stayed behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. this entire time, by the way. Even through lap traffic. How long will he sit behind Dale Jr., though, before trying to make a potential attempt to pass him? Try to get back on the lead lap, because you never know if a caution's going to come out at any point in time. Contact up high. Almost gave the bottom open for Truex. Jr. kind of got hung up on another car. Truex up the gut as Dale Jr. overdrove the corner. Well, contact between the Chance 2 Motorsport teammates that time. More contact. And Truex fought for that one, but he is back on the lead lap. And Boyer trying to do the same thing in the 2 car. Trying to get back on the lead lap. 110 laps to go. Good to have Truex finish in second, but for purposes of Dale Jr. trying to win the race, can't allow a caution to happen while Truex is in front of him, or he will be back on the lead lap. Dale Jr. wanted to battle him hard, didn't want to make contact with him, so he's going to try to find a way to get around him cleanly. Gets to the inside, off turn 2. Truex hanging on. He is really pinching Dale Jr. down in the corners. And Clint Bowyer looks faster than both of these guys right now, at least while Dale Jr. is riding behind Truex. And the points leader, Bowyer, trying to get back on the lead lap. Now Bowyer's stuck on the outside, and he is actually clear of the car underneath, but didn't hop back down to the bottom when he had a shot. Avoid awkward team debrief. Good thing we don't have to sit in those Monday morning meetings, thankfully. The virtual NASCAR EA Monday morning teammate debrief meetings. Junior's going to go back to being patient behind Truex and just pray that this race doesn't get another caution. We've only had one today, and it took over half the race to get there, so that is going to be the longest green flag run of the race of 158 laps before that first yellow. Out of 300. We'll have 100 laps to go next time by. Contact somewhere around the racetrack. Didn't see it though. There it is, 100 to go, 200 down. We'll take control of Martin Truex Jr. one more time in today's race. We'll actually see if we can pull away from Dale Jr. a little bit, so then Jr. can then pick up the pace. Truex get around these lap cars. It's going to be tough, though. He's going to have to go 3 wide to do it. Put this car down on the apron, going to hang on to it for now. Pulling away from Dale Jr. for the time being. And we'll go back to Dale Jr. for the rest of this race now. Our second and final field pass of the first race today. Still have one more time we have to alternate through the different camera angles. Mark DeMars, welcome into the stream. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led all 207 laps in today's race from the pole, was also fastest in qualifying, nailed the setup for this one. Can he get the victory to put the cherry on top of this Dodge Raceway race weekend for the Busch Series? He's going to get back to the inside of Truex. Truex runs him tightly though, and that knocked Dale Jr. really out of shape. In the middle of the corner, Jr. had to grab a gear to hang on. He's going to just, I guess, go back to sitting behind him. Truex is going to battle hard to stay on the lead lap. Jr. taking a peek. Oh, Truex tries to crowd him again, and Junior's going to use a little rub and run to get by his teammate. Put him a lap down once more. Put himself in that position if the caution comes out. And now we'll see if he can get away from the 8. Oh, one car nearly gets turned off the exit of turn 2. It was the 117. I don't know who that was off the front bumper of. Another one of the fantasy drivers got into him. That was right in front of race leader Dale Jr. Jr. had to go to the outside to miss them both. Couldn't get around him, though, on the back straightaway. Luckily, had that extra pavement to work with the outside wall disappearing where the pit lane entrance / exit is. Heard a doubleheader today, yep. Pocono 50% race is going to be up next for the Cup Series. Cup Series is the only track you can race at Pocono in this game. And it'll be the first of 2 trips there. 250-miler for the first one, a 500-mile Pocono race for the second one. It'll be the 4th and final 50% race for the Cup Series season. It'll be the final 50% race of the 12 total between all 3 series in this first season on NASCAR 06. Team Order's going to have Truex trying to block and hang on for second right now, and hopefully that's going to give less pressure for Dale Jr. to try and lap more cars at a quicker pace just to stay in front of the 8. Only 78 laps to go at the Dodge Raceway Stadium short track. And the Dodge Performance 300. Dale Jr. trying to get his 3rd win of the season. And if he does win this, all 3 of his Busch Series wins will come at tracks less than 1 mile in length. On the short tracks of a 3/4 mile short track at Richmond, the UPS Speedway in the 3rd race of the year, which was a 50% race that he ended up winning. That was a half-mile short track and a fantasy track at that. And then today's race, the Dodge Raceway had a 3rd mile short track, another fantasy track, another 100%er. Those are going to be his only 3 wins. And just like Richmond, he's going to go on to lead a lot of laps. He led 199 of the 250 laps at Richmond a couple races ago, and looking to lead all 300 today at the Dodge Raceway, if possible. By far the most dominant win for myself in NASCAR 06, and it was all helped because of a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops where Dale Jr. was the last car in the lead lap that still had to make a stop, but a caution came out, trapping the field a lap down. And that has put himself in this position. And his teammate Truex, first car lap down in 2nd, the last we knew of. Michael McDowell moving to the 10 or the 41 next year. That would be an interesting move. I wonder if you're Stuart Haas Racing, if you go for it. I mean, obviously he has a lot of funding with Loves, and I think after winning the Daytona 500, Loves would be willing to stick with him. I could see that happening. Although it does seem like Loves is more tied down to front row because they were there before McDowell went there, and they're also there in the Truck Series program also. Them and Speedco. Mostly Speedco in the Truck Series. That's an interesting prediction, though. I don't think that's a bad one. Be interested in what he can do in top-tier equipment. He's definitely having the best seasons of his career within these last 2 seasons. And in competitive equipment, he could be competitive enough to potentially win on some road courses. Finished 3rd at Sonoma a couple weeks ago, even with front row. I don't think it would be a bad pairing, to say the least. And he's already driving in a Ford, and obviously SHR runs Fords currently, so he's got that tied down as well. Zane Smith at the 34. It's definitely interesting. I'd like that move. "61 laps to go this time by the Dodge race win, the Dodge Performance 300. Track field mileage is really good. Yes, it is. Only a one-stop race was the scheduled distance. So Dale Jr. was able to pit under that caution. Didn't have to worry about a green flag stop. Caution coming out in the middle of green flag stops, and that's still the only caution. One of the fantasy drivers getting into the tire barrier at the front of pit road. A little contact between a couple cars in front of Dale Jr. Jr. checking up to let those guys duke it out. That's no part of that if he can help it. I think the rookies this year have done a pretty good job. I'd say so. Obviously, Cindric won the 500. He's having an all-right season. He's definitely picked it up the last few weeks. He's had some good runs at both Gateway and Sonoma. Yeah, top 10s at both races. No, he finished 11th at Gateway. Just missed out. But he ran top 10 the whole race. Won a stage, too. Harrison Burton and Ty Gillen, not so much. They haven't really done great. They've just kind of been there. Cindric's really the only one that's done really well of the three. I don't think you could have expected much out of Gillen. Not much experience, and then jumping from truck to cup like that. Kind of similar to what we saw out of John Hunter Nemechek a few years ago when he got into that front row car. Kind of jumped straight from the Cup Series, and he did a better job, definitely, than Gillen. It's kind of is what it is. And Harrison Burton was definitely rushed up too. It definitely seems that he's just kind of there. Wood Brothers 21. He's been hovering outside the top 25 in points most of the year. Kind of in his own way at times. About halfway on field now. 49 laps to go for Dale Jr. to go wire to wire, leading every lap and winning this race. Dodge race win today. The second race, though, will be the Cup Series race at Pocono. First race at Pocono on an EA Sports game on the channel in a while. Clint Boyer has come from basically nowhere to get his lap back on Dale Jr. Jr. made some contact with some lap cars a few laps ago. Got around Truex at some point and races his way around the 81. So Truex has started to fall back just a bit, at least one spot. Jr. locks the brakes up going into turn one just to keep it off the car to the outside. And Boyer's scooting away. Without a caution, Boyer's not going to win this race. But if we do get a yellow, he's going to have a shot to battle Dale Jr. If we get a restart with more than 10 to go, the lead lap cars of Boyer and Earnhardt will have to restart the outside of the lap cars, which is also going to be interesting to see as well how that's going to shape out. Gill and Burton have done well in the super speedways. That's pretty much it, though. And even then, I don't think Harrison Burton's even finished the super speedway race. Like, he ran good in speed weeks until he ended up wrecking. Which, I mean, the dual race wasn't... I mean, I'm not going to say either one was his fault, but he did wreck in the dual race. Logano pulled that bad block off turn 2 and then also flipped in the 500. I think he wrecked out of Talladega, if I remember correctly, as well. Or had an issue of some sort there. So it is... it's been a terrible rookie season for Harrison Burton. Burton's equipment's a lot better to run higher than 25th in points. I mean, Matt Benedetto pointed his way into the playoffs a couple years ago in that same equipment. Ryan Blaney made it to the round of 8 one year in that equipment. It's not a championship level equipment. It's probably just a slight tier below what Chip Ganassi Racing was. Boyer is scooting away right now. About 11.5 seconds off the lead. Just overran turn 3. I think he might get stuck on the outside. Nope, he does get back down to the bottom quickly. Dale Jr. just praying that this race goes green to the end. And we have just that one caution, making this quick race even quicker. The race pace itself and all these green flag laps being ran. Oh, car smoking on the outside of the track. Tony Stewart, I believe. Either Tony Stewart or it's the 133 car. Field able to get through. Junior was just trying to make sure he wasn't going to run over the back of anybody. Really doesn't want a yellow to come out. Will it stay green to the finish? Just over 30 to go. We'll alternate through the different camera angles one final time in today's race now. $11 seconds is the difference between first and second. Boyer unlapped himself about 15 laps ago. Junior just being patient behind these lap cars, not trying to push the issue and cause an accident of any sort. Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car, closing in on the back of the 81 slowly but surely. He wants to get back on the lead lap as well. 30 laps to go. Truex looking to the outside of the 81 of Dale Jr. Junior's ran his lap times pretty perfectly the last couple laps now. And Truex went to the top, but he got stuck behind the lap car, and now he's going to get picked by another lap car. Losing a little bit more track position. We'll go to the far chase cam for the remainder of the race with 26 to go. 20 likes on the stream. Greatly appreciate the support you guys are giving me, not only on a nightly basis, but tonight in particular. Thank you for tuning in, watching this, and this is just the first race of the doubleheader. We're on pace to get 40 likes on tonight's stream. Great momentum heading into the weekend. For more live race commentary, 2 live race commentaries this weekend. Nashville for the trucks and Cup. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be the truck race live commentary, and then at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday evening with the Cup Series. 24 laps to go for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to go wire to wire and lead every lap and the race today. You're a Waltrip fan? I'll take your word for it. He's definitely a likable character, though, for sure. I can not like Michael Waltrip, the person. He can be kind of corny at times. Maybe not great for TV nowadays, but at least in his driving days with the interviews he would have, I mean, he was the same character. $20 to go. Boyer's been faster than Dale Jr., but Jr.'s kind of relaxing a little bit. Trying to keep this race green as best as he can. He has to make contact with another car in probably nearly 50 laps. Spaces opened up a little bit behind him. He does have about 4 cars directly in front of him. I don't know if I'll ever be able to dominate a race like this again in NASCAR 06, so I'm going to take what's given to me. Practice and qualifying definitely helped Dale Jr. today to be fastest from unload speed. Obviously helped as well. Didn't really have to tinker with the car much with the setup in practice. Setup they had when they unloaded in practice was the same they ran in qualifying throughout practice as well, and even into the race, no adjustments during that one stop. Only had a couple cars blow engines today. That definitely could cause some stack-ups off the exit of the corner. It was one car that almost got turned off turn 2 earlier, the 117. No major issues there either. Contact in front of Dale Jr. Truck drove in really deep into turns 1 and 2, went up the hill a bit. 10 laps to go this time by. Ten more than Dale Jr. can celebrate. Can't party too hard though. The Cup race coming up next. Even with Boyer finishing second, obviously winning the last 2 races, going to keep that hot streak alive. Five laps to go for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Quick laps at that. Quarter tank of gas, plenty to make it to the end for Earnhardt. 4 to go. Caution comes out now. I think there's a good chance the race ends. Boyer's trimmed that lead down to about 7.5 seconds. He is booking it. But it looks as if it's going to be too little, too late. Oh, gosh. Well, tight getting into turn 3. Junior overdrove it on the bottom, 3 wide. 2 to go. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for Dale Earnhardt Jr. 7.5 second lead, but a dominating race to say the least. Gonna go wire to wire, leading every lap in the race itself. Checkered flag in the air. Earnhardt wins at the Dodge Raceway. Commentating every race at backstretch battles on roadblocks. Back into watching NASCAR again. Well, man, I appreciate that. Appreciate I can do that for you. Oh my gosh, the screen went to black there for a second. I was confused. Like, whoa, what happened? What domination. Burning it down under the grandstands. We'll go through tonight's finishing results. Good day for Chance 2 Motorsports. Dale Jr. fastest in practice, qualified on the pole, led every lap in the race, going wire to wire, 300 down for him. That will give him now 755 laps led on the season, leading all 300 today. Only Jr. and Boyer have won the last 4 races combined. 2 for Dale Jr. at Richmond and Dodge Raceway, and at Dover and Charlotte for Boyer. And Boyer, sure enough, finishes second again today as he keeps his hot streak alive. Not going to gain many points on him. Luckily, he did not lead a lap, with Jr. leading them all. Max points day for Jr. I think he outpointed Boyer by 20 today. Better than nothing. Or better than losing points, which he would have. Those are the only 2 cars that finished on the lead lap. Again, caution in the middle of green flag stops, trapped everybody a lap down except for Earnhardt, who did not pit until during that caution flag. It was the only yellow of the race as well at lap 158. 4 lead changes total. They were only during the caution flag period. That was it. And no other lead changes out. Actually, that's not even right. If Dale Jr. led every lap, then there was no lead changes. So I don't know why it says 4 lead changes. There were no lead changes today. Dale Jr. led all 300 laps from the pole. I don't even know why that says 4. It's a little bit of a glitch. 7.6 second margin of victory. Clint Boyer, as mentioned, finished second. Mark Truex Jr. finished third. Solid day. He was top 5 all day. Jeremy Mayfield finishes 4th. J.J. Yaley rounds out the top 5 at 3 laps down in 5th. Aaron Crocker finished 6th. Michael Jourdain Jr. 7th. 8th was Peterson. Bobby Labonte, who started 2nd, finished 9th. Kenny Walls finished 10th, 4 laps down. And we'll see who DNF. We had a couple engine failures, 1 late. Looked like 3 drivers DNF today. Lance Trigger in the 133. Jamie McMurray DNF'd, and Shane Meal blew an engine as well. McMurray was just off the pace from the get-go. But those 3 drivers all DNF'd. Everybody else finished. We'll take a look at the point standing, see how many spots Dale Jr. moved up. I think he's in the top 10 in points for the first time this season, so that's good. And the next race will be at another short track, which could be good for Dale Jr. He's been good on the tracks less than 1 mile length. We have a half-mile short track race at the Levi Strauss Signature Speedway. Race number 16 of 35. I struggled there in the truck series, finishing 24th. But I'm definitely going to qualify and practice for that one, try to get the setup as perfectly as I can. Dale Jr. now has 3 wins on the year, just 1 shy of Edwards, tying Edwards for second with 3, but 1 shy of Boyer, who has 4 and still has the most wins this season. Don't go anywhere. We still have another race coming up at Pocono for the Cup Series. It's a 50% race. Truex 4th in the standings. Boyer still has the points lead, a pretty big one at that. 187 points right now ahead of J.J. Yaley in second. Boyer's just dominating this season. And Dale Jr. moves up 1 spot in points today with the max points day and a win, leading every lap. Passes Michael Jourdain Jr., who also had a top 10. But Dale Jr. leading the most laps, winning the race, is enough to get him in the top 10. So for the first time this season, he is in the top 10. It actually is tied for 9th, and Dale Jr. would have the tiebreaker over Bobby Labonte for more wins. Labonte does not have a Busch Series win yet, or a Cup Series win, and Dale Jr. has 3 Busch wins. So Dale Jr. moves up 2 spots in the standings now to 9th. There's only 1 point back from fantasy driver Justin Smith in 8th. So he's definitely on an upward hill here. So 2 spots gained in points for Dale Jr. today. I am going to check out some chase plates real quick before I forget. I had a lot of skill points leading every lap there. Trying to get the fantasy tracks unlocked for the custom schedule season right now. Kind of starting with all the Cup Series races currently. But I only have, let's see, 7,500 there, 5,000. I might as well unlock a paint scheme, I guess, while I'm at it. Sure, Casey Kane. I think I got all the sponsors unlocked. I didn't plan on playing a career mode in this game anyway, but I thought I had them unlocked already. Alright, well I guess that's all I can unlock for chase play purposes. Let that save. Say tonight, doubleheader? Heck yeah. No, jeez. Yeah, don't go anywhere. It's going to be on this stream. Always double down on the saving. I know it auto saves, but a little picky with that. Don't make anyone sick doing burnouts under the stands. Rod G, no AC Delco car. No, that is Boyer's car. He's in the AC Delco number 2. No, Dale Jr. was in the 3 car at the AC Delco, but that was back in the 90s. When he was running full-time in the Busch Series. Won a couple championships, of course, there. And now we'll go in such profiles. On to the Cup Series. Make sure I have it set for a 50% race. I did. Thought I did that on the last... Well, the last time I was on here, I wasn't on stream when I did it. It's just in case I forgot, because once you log into the race, you can't back out. And yeah, we're going to run this alternative Dale Jr. paint scheme for the Cup race. It'll be the Pocono 250 at the Pocono Raceway. And there will not be any qualifying or practice for this race, so we can get right into it. Because it's going to take me a while to get through practice. So, no practice and qualifying at a track I have not raced at on an EA Sports game since NASCAR Thunder 2004. Oh, probably a year and a half at least on the channel since that happened. That was very early in the channel's history where I had ran that.
EA Sports welcomes you to the 2.5-mile Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. This is one tough track, shaped like a triangle that has 3 distinct turns. Each demanding driver and race car to do something just
what we're talking about Pocono.
and a little bit better.
Oh man, what do I even do for setup?
200 laps, 43 cars, 3
Good thing it's not 500 miles, but
in the Pocono 500.
man, this is gonna be difficult. This is gonna be the hardest race to start from the rear without practice or qualifying. Definitely gonna need some downforce. I don't even care about top end speed right now. I know there's long straightaways here, but I need handling. Move the fender flare. I don't want to go too high. Let's go 63. Put some wedge in it. Let's go round and a half a wedge. Air pressure, move that down a bit. Let's just go 23. Oh boy. Farted on him, son. NASCAR golden years, early 90s into early 2000s. And I fart with pride. I fart with power. God bless George Floyd and all my brothers. I'm gay, love Bobby. Alright. Well, on that note, let's get tonight's race underway. Pocono 250. And the green flag is going to wave. We are underway. Jeff Gordon will lead the field to the green at Pocono. 100 laps of... I don't even know what to expect in this race today. But we have 100 laps of it. No clue how this car is going to drive. And they're already 3 wide going into turn 1. Pocono known for having wild and crazy restarts. They are still 2 by 2. A lot of 3 wide racing fanning out now on the short chute between turns 1 and 2. Junior backing out early, just trying to make sure if there's a wreck in front of him, he's going to be able to miss it. And off the exit of the tunnel turn, they're going to make it. As wide out as they are fanned right now, I am surprised at how aggressive these guys are running and how they're able to hang on to the race cars. 4 wide off the exit of turn 3 now. Are they going to make it there? Nearly contact on the outside. I don't know if Junior wants to get in on this, but he is going to. He's going to be 3 wide himself down into turn 1. Underneath Terry Labonte, Kyle Petty trying to hold the car down on the bottom. A lot of room. Off the curb. Doesn't throw him, luckily. Making a few passes at the back of the pack. I did not think this was going to be like a pack race, at least for the opening couple laps. We know drafting was going to be very, very crucial in this one today, considering the fact that there are very long straightaways at this racetrack. But really, everybody in this field that is not race leader Jeff Gordon is just hoping everybody can hold their marks, hit their marks. Contact. J.J. Yaley got the side of Dale Jr. getting into turn 3. About knocked the 8 car sideways. He held on to it. Still trying to hang on to it. And Jr. lost about 3 positions out of it. Jr. with a block on the 22 car. Scott Wimmer. Wimmer down across the racetrack. Clipped the grass going into turn 1. He goes into the outside wall. If I wasn't sweating from that first race, I'm going to be sweating after the end of this one. Junior lost the front of the race car going into turn 2, but still clears the car he was trying to pass in the 145. One car in the wall, crash! Into turn 3, no caution. Michael Waltrip in the 15 got up into the wall. Contact with somebody. Stacking up a couple cars for Dale Jr. to make some moves all the way down at the bottom. Jr.'s going way down to the inside, trying to break the draft and break whatever side draft is possible. 3 wide into turn 1. Dale Jr. on the bottom, holding on to it. 4 wide in the middle of the corner. Trying to get Michael Waltrip to drop in line behind the 8 of Dale Jr. It's not really working. He's going to side draft him. Into turn 2 they go, 3 wide. Dale Jr. underneath Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth. Kenseth's in the wall on the outside. Contact with Kane, and Jr. gets through the 25th. Crazy start to this race today. Truex on the outside, dropping like a rock. Team order is going to allow for Jr. to get through there, as well as a couple positions through turn 3. Down to the bottom, breaking a draft in which he was 3 wide with Kenny Wallace in the middle. Up to 20th on lap 5 for Dale Jr. We've had a lot of stack-ups, and he's made his way through it. I do like this paint scheme as well. Sticky little dilly dum. Welcome to the stream. Contact with Rusty Wallace in turn 2. Wallace squeezed into the wall. It's going to cause a stack up there. Junior overdrove the corner, got into him. Rusty trying to hang on the right rear corner panel and side draft the 8 of Dale Jr. Somehow no caution through the first 5 laps. Believe it or not, though, Junior hasn't really made much contact with any cars in the first 5 laps. Kind of stayed low, below all of the chaos. Really low entry into turn 1, but he held on to it. He stayed out of the grass. That's actually perfect. He can hold it all the way through the corner, which he does. Once we get fanned out a little bit into a longer green flag run, it's going to be harder to pass, and that's where track position is going to be key at this racetrack. Also, not really sure of what the fuel window is going to be. Not racing here since NASCAR Thunder 04. Plus, it's a 50% race, so there's an accelerated pit window as well, which is not going to be exactly like it was in 2005. as well as the tire wear. Junior side drafting off Elliott Sadler down the Long Pond straightaway. Mike Bliss gonna side draft the 25 of Brian Vickers as well. Down into turn 1. Caution for the first time today. Trouble on lap number 7. That did not take long. And the way the pack was racing, I was not surprised it took that long. Martin Truex Jr. with a violent wreck in turn 1. With Casey Mears, he cleaned him out going into turn 1. Look at this. He was down in the grass on corner entry and right across the track, head on into the outside wall as well. Head on for Mears. Mears came back across the track in front of a couple cars. I think Scott Riggs was one of them involved. So caution is out. And we're going to see what the leaders are going to do here. Junior's going to do exactly the same as them. They will pit. So the field will be pitting for the first time after just 7 laps. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be on his way in. He'll top off on fuel, 4 tires, no adjustments for the 8. So the first yellow lap 7 going to bring the entire field on the pit road today at Pocono. Need a clean stop. Don't want to afford to lose any more track position. And the good news is when it looked like it was starting to space out there for Junior, we're going to get things bunched back together again. And a chance for Junior to pull off some more positions gained. Hopefully he doesn't lose any on pit road. 3 wide out of the pit lane. And I think Junior did gain some time in the pits. He was 19th when the caution came out. And green flag is going to be back in the air. Dale Jr. will restart in 9. 10 spots gained on a 4-tire stop on pit road for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now has to hang on in the restart as he tries to block the 31 of Jeff Burton all the way down to the inside. Burton's going extremely low, down into turn 1. That was a mighty block by Dale Jr. Try and stay in front of him. Kevin Harvick underneath of Jeff Gordon off the exit of turn 1 looking for the lead. And number 24 DuPont Chevrolet. One car is really slow at the back of the pack right now through turn 1. Gonna have troubles trying to make their way down into the pit lane, I'd have to assume. Dale Jr. way to the inside. Break whatever side draft necessary there. And it looks like he is 3 wide right now as they're going to fan themselves into turn 1. Risky move from Earnhardt. Kurt Busch backed out of the gas in time, pulled in line right behind the car he was on the outside with, which was his teammate Mark Martin. Tony Stewart to the lead. Harvick did not lead that lap. Despite initially getting it for Gordon, Tony Stewart led that lap. The lap car is in turn 2 right now off the exit of the corner. Junior's up to 6th on the restart. Gets a little tight in the dirty air. They're going to catch this lap car in a bad spot. Somebody's going to pile into him, I'd have to imagine, going into turn 3. The entire field trying to race their way around him. As fanned out as they have been so far, they are actually going to make it past the lap car, who I couldn't tell who that was at the bottom of the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt Jr. After starting last without practice or qualifying at Pocono of all racetracks, benefited with the 4-tire stop during the caution, got the bunch up on the field, and is in 6th. Side drafting Bobby Labonte in the 18. Junior gets tight. He's struggling with the tunnel turn right now, it seems. Beats Labonte back to the gas, though. Looks to the inside into turn 3. Hopefully he doesn't get tight this time. The flatter of the 3 corners on the racetrack. It's turn 3 at Pocono. Jr. makes the pass. Completes it. Quickly gets underneath Harvick. Junior gets around Harvick through turn 1 for 4th. I I have to say, Dale Jr.'s adapted into this racetrack very quickly. I did not think that was going to be the case. All things considered, he was very patient the first couple laps, too. As the stack-up started happening in front of him, that's where he made a very bold and aggressive move. And he's up to 4th place. Stewart to the inside of Carl Edwards for 2nd. Dale Jr. might take him 3 wide. And as Stewart and Edwards side draft each other on the outside, Dale Jr. trying to pick up the time on the bottom. Not going to be able to do so. We'll hop back in line into turn 1. Edwards still stuck on the outside. Stewart's going to clear him for 2nd. Dale Jr. to the inside of Tony Stewart. And Stewart's going to actually throw a block, it looks like. Edwards trying to side draft the 8 of Earnhardt Gordon with a little bit of a block on Tony Stewart. Into turn 2 they go. Junior side drafts the 99 of Edwards. Trying to squeeze him. Edwards holding on to the outside really well, but Junior's still there into turn 3. Junior enters pretty flat into the corner. Hangs on. And off the exit of turn 3, powers back to the throttle and clears Carl Edwards. Into a podium slot right now, just 15 laps in. We'll see what Michael Waltrip is doing a little bit further back in the field for our first field pass of the race today. He is in 34th. Just trying to hang on to his race car, seemingly. After a pretty rough start for Waltrip, he got into the wall early. Not as rough as Truex, who was involved in that accident a little bit ago. Lap 7, no debris cautions from it, at least up to this point, despite the fact that Truex and Mears took a very hard lick. Truex still in the race so far. Waltrip going to break the draft down on the bottom of the track now. All the way down the front straightaway. Looks towards the outside. He's got his teammate Truex above him. Jimmy Johnson towards the back of the pack right now. He's in the top 5 in points. Waltrip hugs the curbing through turn 1. Gets around Jeremy Mayfield. Jeff Green was up on the outside. That's why Waltrip wanted to make that 3 wide pass, because Green is a rival of Waltrip's. And Michael going to get around the 15 car, or sorry, the 48. I don't know why I said 15. Waltrip's in the 15. Removes himself in the top 30 ahead of Jimmy Johnson. And up, side drafting Mears. Gordon still out in front. Waltrip going to file himself in line right behind Vickers. Pulls out of line into turn 1. Trying to get this number 15 DEI car closer to the front as possible. I do feel like Waltrip's car's handling better in turn 2 than Dale Jr.'s. Jr.'s a little tight at that end of the track. That's really the only corner, if any corners at all, Dale Jr. is struggling. I don't know if you could consider him struggling where he started and how quickly he got to the front. Waltrip trapped in behind Dale Jarrett. 3 wide right now is Waltrip. Looking into the middle lane. Gonna back out. He doesn't want to be 3 wide middle. Contact with Jarrett. Jarrett goes up the track into the side of the 10. Waltrip was trying to duck out of line. He didn't get out of line in time and nearly caused a big wreck into turn 1. I'm surprised I didn't cause a big wreck in turn 1, to be completely honest. Another car has blown an engine. It's a very fast racetrack. Not being 500 miles should save at least some amount of engine failures. I'd have to imagine. And now we'll go back to the 1 of Martin Truex Jr. for the next 4 laps as he rides in 33rd. Truex's right front's very soft as well. The right front fender's in the red. Gonna have to be careful with that while we're driving as him. Can tell some stuff about Dale Sr. I'll have to read that one. I'm not 3 wide into the tunnel turn. Truex just backing out, letting those guys go. Especially with the soft right front fender. Whoever that was that blew an engine was able to get to pit road before the field made their way to them. So that's good. Keeps us from having an accident. There they are. Down onto the bottom towards the commitment line. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were the one from Winston-Salem. Some cool stories. I feel like a lot of people in the NASCAR world itself has... Truex just made a pass on Shane Meal on the outside, by the way, in turn 1. Risky and impressive at the same time. Still doesn't want to go 3 wide in turn 2. Second lap in a row, he had a shot. Decided not to. It's all about working smarter than harder. What I was going to say is it seems like everybody in the industry has a... funny Dale Sr. story. I hear a lot of them on the Dale Jr. download all the time, and they always talk about his dad, especially when they get the older drivers on there. Everybody has a unique Dale Sr. story or experience. Whether they knew him well or not. The legend grows even to this day. Truex is slowly getting back to at least where Waltrip was, where we drove him to, and actually Waltrip was behind Truex initially. Trying to get DEI a solid day. Chance 2 Motorsports finished 1st and 3rd in our first race earlier. In the Busch Series race at the Dodge Raceway. Junior led all 300 laps from the pole, so if you're just tuning in wondering what happened in the first race, there you go. Fastest in practice as well. No practice or qualifying entering this 250-mile Pocono race. We've had 1 caution at lap 7 for a 4-car wreck in turn 1. AI-related wreck where Truex drove it in too deep, kind of clipped the grass going into 1. Ended up taking out Casey Mears. Scott Riggs was also involved, and there was another car involved in the wreck. I couldn't tell. Further back, Jeff Gordon's pretty much dominated the early going of the race. Harvick and Stewart had taken the lead briefly on that last restart. They're not in the lead now. We'll go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. this lap. We'll fast forward. Truex is in, or Dale Jr. rather, is in 4th. It's a 4-car breakaway at the front of the field. He was in 3rd last we saw. Edwards has passed him, but he's keeping up with the lead pack. Jr. drafted really well. Down towards turn 2, going to back up the corner entry a little bit, trying to get a run off. Edwards to the inside of Tony Stewart. But Dale Jr. to the inside of Edwards. Side drafts him, going to hold the 99 behind the 20 a little bit. Dale Jr. with the dive into turn 3. He'll take over 3rd and out of the inside of Stewart for 2nd as well. He's going to side draft Smoke. Side by side towards turn 1. Jr. side draft and then pulled with the deep dive into the corner. Dale Earnhardt Jr. to P2. Gordon goes wide off turn 1, and Jr.'s looking for his first lead of the race. Not quite underneath him, though. Pulls back in line with the draft. towards turn 3. Junior trying to get a lap led in. Way to the bottom. No side draft on Gordon this time. Gordon led that lap at the line. Junior working his way up the track. Gordon not going to be clear down into turn 1. Dale Jr. underneath him. He was committed to taking that corner entry flat. Holds on to it, but not clear off the exit of turn 1. Still side by side for the lead. Into turn 2. Who will give? Gordon gets squeezed just a bit. That's going to allow Dale Jr. Nope, Jr. not clear yet. Gordon still side drafts the right rear corner panel of the 8. Through turn 3, not going to be enough. New leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Pocono. Gordon to second. 5 bonus points for Earnhardt, leading his first lap of the race. Trying to get the sweep of the doubleheader, winning the Busch and the Cup race today. After a last 2 rough patch of races for Earnhardt, he needs a good run in this Cup race today. DNF 2 races ago in the Coca-Cola 600, finishing 41st, and then finished 36 2 laps down at Dover a couple days ago on Monday. Tony Stewart to second, Edwards to third, and now Gordon back to fourth. Oh, that's cool. Neighbors with Jeff Gordon's ex-wife's grandparents. Junior get an overdrive turn 2. It's been tight in that area. Edwards way down to the bottom. He's not going to aggressively side draft Dale Jr. First time Junior's going to be on the outside going into a corner and into turn 3. There he goes. Edwards to the lead. It's going to be Carl's first lap led of the race. Junior going down the track, breaking the draft. Now he'll take the deep dive into turn 1. Underneath Edwards. Not quite going to get there. Carl shuts the door. Dale Jr. onto the curbing and holds on through turn 1. On the curb, the drive to the inside of the 99 again. Stuart Gordon side by side for third. Wade Zielinski, welcome to the stream. Junior back in line though behind Edwards. Junior's really struggling to turn 2. Big block on Stewart. It's going to be clear. Down towards turn 3. Tony drove it in flat, hangs on. Slides way up the hill. And is going to clear Jeff Gordon. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Lap 30. Again, everybody pitted at lap 7 during the first caution. Junior gained 10 spots on pit road from 19th to 9th. Took the lead about a dozen laps after the restart. He's led a few laps and is working back to the inside of Carl Edwards to potentially lead another lap. Good drive on the short chute between 1 and 2. Edwards going to hang on to the lead though into turn 2 in the tunnel turn. Remember, this is a much bumpier Pocono surface at this time too. Making the tricky triangle even trickier with these Gen 4 cars in this era. In 2005, it was repaved in the early 2010s. And Junior down low, underneath Edwards. Looking to make a pass. Not going to really work. Pulls back in line behind the 99 again. Nearly 200 miles an hour into turn 1. These low exits for Dale Jr. is allowing him to pull alongside Edwards. So hard to pass at this racetrack, though, and Junior doesn't quite have the straightaway speed the 99 does in the draft with those cars on the outside, even if Edwards is the one leading the draft. 25 likes on the stream. We had 20 at the end of the Busch race earlier. 25 now. Thanks for everybody hitting that like button. Definitely do so if you haven't already. And, of course, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Live race commentary for the real races on the race weekend, just like live commentary you're seeing on the video game side tonight. We'll be doing the live commentary for tomorrow night's Truck Series race at Nashville, as well as the Cup Series race at Nashville Sunday evening. Pause it for a quick second. Get that out of here. With this only being a 50% cup race at Pocono, again, it's going to fly by. The one caution kind of stunted that a little bit early. As we get into a much longer second green flag run of the race, you can definitely tell the field spacing out quite a bit. I'm sure it's going to space out more if we get the green flag pit stops. Junior's willing to be patient behind Edwards right now and just kind of stay in the draft. As I say that, he makes the move to the inside into turn 1, but it wasn't low enough to get underneath the 99 and try to take the lead. Junior up the hill in turn 2. Got in the wall a little bit. Gonna hurt his momentum into turn 3. Tony Stewart closed quite a bit. Dale Jr. just needs to get that tunnel turned down. I don't know that he wants to make an adjustment change, though, because you make an adjustment change to try and help the tunnel turn. Could make him potentially a little bit looser on other areas of the racetrack. It's very, very tough to make mid-race adjustments at a track like Pocono. He's definitely got a car capable of winning the race. I think right now you just want to stick with the 99 as much as you possibly can. As long as you can stay in the draft, you're probably going to be all right. We still don't know how many stops are going to be in this race. Everybody already pitted once. We don't know what the full window is on fuel. We restarted at lap 10. So right now, still not quite at a quarter tank of fuel left. I would imagine probably 2 more stops. I would think that this is probably going to be a 3-stop race now. Everybody pitting at lap 7. Probably nobody stayed out trying to play the track position battle, at least with cars further back in the pack. Even those first 7 laps, Junior could tell his car was capable of just driving to the front, a normal strategy. Didn't want to risk it. Again, gets tight in turn 2. The closer he gets behind Edwards, the dirty air is going to push that car tighter and tighter in that corner as well. To really start backing it up. Plus, he's carrying a lot of speed in the draft as well, getting into turn 2, which is not helping the entry either. Edwards with a much lower exit that time. He's trying to break the draft down the Long Pond straightaway. Seen 3 engine failures already today, and I don't think anybody involved in that first caution, and only caution so far, was DNF'd either. Junior not as tight that time through turn 2. He was still a little tight. Edwards himself looked to have gone a little bit wide the middle of the corner. Junior wasn't the only one. Definitely lost to 99 just a tad. Great corner for Earnhardt through turn 1. Wraps the curbing on the inside. Of course, that curbing not there anymore in turns 1 and 2. Grass was shaved down from the repave. It's an apron to go onto, so this track a little bit more narrow at this time period. Making it even more harder to pass. Especially on restarts. Jr. through the curbing in turn 3. Great lap, that last lap for Dale Jr. as he closes closer to Edwards. Jr. looking low underneath Edwards. Maybe side draft him a little bit more aggressively that time. For hopping in line behind. Definitely close behind Dale Jr. close behind Edwards. A lot better through turn 2 that time. He's going to be on the inside of Edwards. Jr. thinks now's the chance to try and make the pass into turn 3. I don't think he's going to get enough of a drive off. Edwards still there. Carl actually led that last lap as well. Michael Waltrip into the pits. A lot of drivers are going to be on pit road this time at lap 39. Green flag pit stops are going to open up. A lot of cars trying to short pit. How far will these leaders take it? You don't want a caution to come out middle of green flag stops, not because of going a lap down here, but if you do not pit quick enough, you're going to lose a lap. If you're at the tail end of the field, you're going to go a lap down, but if you're towards the front, you definitely don't want to be the last car to pit. Plus the tire fall off itself as well. Jeff Gordon from 4th will pit. Edwards really gapped Jr. that last lap. Have to watch the cars coming out of the pit lane on the bottom of the track as well. I don't think Edwards is quite going to catch anybody. Going to be far enough ahead. He'll stay on the lead lap. On this long 2.5 mile triangular racetrack. Junior gets fresh tires on this car. He's definitely going to be able to rotate through turn 2 a lot better because he was not that tight until about 20 laps into the run. These last 10 laps have been a struggle getting through there. Edwards not going to pit this time. He was a little low off the exit of turn 3, but that was mainly just to try and break the trap from Dale Jr. behind him. Cars coming out of the pit lane on the bottom of the racetrack. Dale Jr. up towards the outside. Gonna clear Scott Riggs. Lap car in the way of Edwards through turn 1. That would be Ricky Rudd in the 21. Edwards going to go wide. Jr. hops in the draft. No, it's been a good night of racing, but that is getting pretty bad in the chat. Really defensive low line for Edwards this time. Down to turn 3, maybe pitting. And he's on his way in. So Edwards will pit, meaning Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be back in the lead once again at Pocono. Martin Truex Jr. is in. Dale Jr. is going to stay out as long as he can this run. Try to get more laps let in. You don't want a caution to come out, obviously. But we'll get a good gauge of exactly how far he could go to the end of this race. It's the second of 3 stops. Likely 3 stops. Have to assume everybody's going to pit roughly every 30 laps or so. Junior going a little bit beyond that considering we restarted at lap 10. The Junior Nation on their feet and leading at Pocono today. Towards the bottom of the track goes Earnhardt. Oh, we got one car blowing up. Off the exit of turn 1. One car has blown an engine. It's Joe Nemechek in the 0-1, and he's got to limp that car all the way back to pit road. Hopefully everybody will miss him. And we can continue to stay green. Caution. And I think somebody ran into Nemechek in the tunnel turn. Junior will be able to pit during the yellow, but this is going to cycle him back in traffic again. I had a feeling with Nemechek being slow, I was wondering if somebody was going to pile into him, and it was the 145 car who piles into the back of Joe Nemechek, bringing out the second caution of the race. Nemechek was on the curbing in turn 2, couldn't go any lower, and the 145 ran right into him. That's the risk of staying out as long as you can at Pocono, and talked about it before the green flag pit stop started, and obviously it's going to hurt Dale Jr. He's going to go to the back. He'll top off on fuel, 4 tires. He's got a great race car, but he's going to have to try to drive from the back again. He did it once. We'll see if he can do it a second time. No debris cautions with the first 2 wrecks today, despite the fact that they are at higher speeds and a little more violent. Not more bad luck, yeah, really. Trying to find a trivia question for tonight. Not quite halfway, but we're getting close. So both pit stops under caution. Of course, with no practice, Junior was not able to practice any stops either. I'm going to pause it for a quick second before the race start just to try and find the trivia question now while I'm waiting. Let's see here. Trying to think of a good trivia question for you guys. Stumped you on the first one tonight. It's tough just trying to find a question. It's going to be a little easier than the last one because I can't really find any. I don't want to keep the game and the race paused for race flow purposes. Alrighty. What was the first trivia question? Oh, it was a Nashville Superspeedway track fact. Asked if, or I should say I asked who was the only driver outside of Kyle Busch to win from the pole at Nashville Superspeedway in the Xfinity Series, and the answer was Reed Sorensen. 2 and 3 wide already, no surprise on the restart. I would not be surprised if they were 4 wide further up in the field. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. has to go from 24th to try to get to the front. That's how many cars were on the lead lap. It's still in this race. 3 wide off the tunnel turn. Dale Jr. looks to the inside. It's going to be 3 wide into turn 3 himself. 1 car in the wall on the outside. That's Matt Kenseth. Off the exit of the corner. He's still against the wall, trying to work his way off of the corner, and they're 4 wide on the main straightaway. Dale Jr. getting a draft off of his teammate, Michael Waltrip. Still 3 wide towards turn 1. Contact towards that middle to upper groove. Another wild Pocono restart. You are in time for the second trivia question, coming in a few laps. This is just insane. Restarts at Pocono this game are, I mean, I knew they were going to be wild, but I didn't think they were going to be this wild. Junior back inside the top 10 already after losing the lead. Greg Biffle in the 16. Junior able to get some draft even with breaking the draft. Biffle clips the apron up into Harvick, and into the wall they go on the outside in turn 1. No caution, we stay green. Junior at least made his way back up the track to try and make the corner. Greg Biffle unfortunately drove it, clipped the grass, and that was similar to how Truex wrecked earlier. Got in the side of Harvick, no caution. Moves Dale up a couple more spots to 8th. Biffle and Harvick are going to go backwards. A lot of lap cars still in front of Dale Jr. 3 wide under Scott Riggs, Shane Meal. Newman 3 wide. Penske sandwiched between the 2 and the 12 of the 97 of Kurt Busch. Scott Riggs looking to try and make a pass towards the bottom of the track. Dale Jr. going to block him. Into turn 1, Riggs clips the apron. He goes up the track into the wall. Hard wreck, caution's out. Riggs has crashed. He's going to back down into the traffic. Our 3rd yellow of the race today. Scott Riggs overdrives turn 1 right into Kyle Busch and Shane Meal, a couple rookies, and then back down in front of a couple other cars. Mark Martin got a piece of it. Who else got a piece of the wreck? Can't really tell from that angle. Scott Riggs looked like he wrecked as well. And we have another caution right about the halfway point in tonight's race, our 3rd yellow of the day. And just a 50% race nonetheless at Pocono. Definitely not going to get to the caution record today with this being a short race length. It has been wild to say the least so far though. And we'll set up for another wild Pocono restart. Lap 54, green flag back in the air. Time for tonight's trivia question. Who's the winner in the longest race in NASCAR history at Pocono? So again, that is tonight's trivia question. Fairly easy. Who is the winner in the longest Pocono Cup race in NASCAR history? Junior got to the bottom pretty quickly. Even with the lap cars restarting there. Contact with Newman. Up the track he goes. Squeezing Gordon. Oh, stack up behind the 24. Stewart down to try and block. Dale Jr. thought better of it. Not Kyle Busch, not Brad Keselowski, not Larson, not Truex. Not Jeff Gordon, not Rusty Wallace. Edwards still leads through the restart. Steele Jr. clears Stewart. He's got Kyle Busch, Rusty Wallace to his outside. Jr. going to be clear, back to third. Making his way through the field on the restart so far. Not Dale Jr., not Jeremy Mayfield. By longest, obviously, that would be the race that went the longest past the scheduled distance. Dale Jr. underneath Bobby Labonte. Not enough of a pull, though, to get around him into turn one. Maybe has a shot in the middle of the corner to get around the 18. Hugs the curbing. And he's going to clear Labonte off the exit of turn two for second. Dale Jr. to P2. Have to say he's doing well for himself right now. Not Ricky Rudd. Not Casey Kane. I thought somebody would have gotten the question right by now. Not Stenhouse. Ethan, welcome into the stream. I see you in the chat. Junior a little wide on turn three. Kept it off the wall. Tried to power back in the gas as soon as he could that time. Looking for a run on Edwards. And low into turn one. Dale Jr. for the lead at Pocono on Carl Edwards. Not Boyer. Somebody will get this question right. I might have to put a limit on it at this point. I wasn't going to originally. Outsider, welcome to the stream. Not Busher. That's the shortest race at Pocono, or one of the shortest at least. That race ended early. The fog. So it wouldn't have been the longest race. Not Carl Edwards. Dale Jr. to the lead, by the way, off turn three, clearing Carl Edwards. We'll go back in the pack now and ride with Michael Waltrip for the final time today, who is up to 13th. He survived the carnage, not being involved in a single accident. Underneath Sadler for 12th. And Casey Kane for 11th. Not Tony Stewart, not Edwards. Denny Hamlin 2010. Correct. Michael Turner has gotten tonight's trivia question correct. Denny Hamlin had won the longest race in NASCAR Cup Series history at Pocono. 510 laps in 2010 was the longest race. Contact into turn three between Casey Mears, Travis Quaffle. Waltrip gets by both of them pretty easily because of it. They're both a lap down, so there wasn't any positions gained out of it for Waltrip. Dale Jr. still holds on to the lead at the front of the field right now with Carl Edwards riding in line behind him in second. Three wide off the exit of the tunnel turn for Waltrip to the inside of Rusty Wallace, Kurt Busch. And still one more pit stop left the rest of this race. Waltrip, one of those cars that he passed was a lap down, the other was on the lead lap. Not sure what was what. But Michael Waltrip is in the top 10 at Pocono. Two-car breakaway right now between Dale Jr. and Carl Edwards for the time being. Edwards looks low, but I don't think he's going to be able to get around Dale Jr. at all. Waltrip to the outside of the sixth car of Mark Martin into turn two. The tunnel turn. Contact into the wall. Oh, a blowover. Mark Martin's on his lid. Oh, my goodness. Fourth yellow of the race. Martin gets into the catch fence in turn 2. Good grief. Pirouetting on his nose and back down on all 4. Caution is out. Waltrip involved in the accident. It looked like Martin just got loose, or sorry, tight rather, into turn 2. Overdrove the corner into Waltrip. They got stuck on each other and Martin blew over. And Waltrip will have to be going to the rear, unfortunately. I didn't think we were going to be seeing a blowover at Pocono today, but we had one. Shades of Rusty Wallace. That was a wild ride. Against the fence, turn 2, Robert Wickens. Yeah, was his a blowover though? I'm trying to think. I think his is more running over a wheel and going airborne. Waltrip's unfortunately going to be back to 26 after running in 9th place before the caution. Green flag back in the air. One lap with him, and then we'll go with Truex for about 4 laps, and then Dale Jr. for the rest of the race after that. Kyle Busch overdrives turn 1 on the restart. Another wild Pocono restart back in the pack. That was kind of cool, I'm not going to lie though. Mark Martin just blew over at Pocono. The wreck he caused, I'm not faulting Waltrip for that. He was on the outside. I think Martin just got tight with the car in front of him. Oh, we have another wreck nearly. Into turn 3, Harvick about got turned by the 145 car on the bottom. And we'll ride with Martin Truex Jr. now. Towards turn 1. 3 wide in front of him. Oh, Truex lost the nose. Waltrip got around him initially. Team orders probably going to allow for Truex to get around the 15. They're going to be 3 wide into turn 2. Truex getting clear. It is wild at Pocono right now. Dale Jr. holds on to the lead from the restart. Pit window, I'd have to assume, is going to be opening any moment here. 35 laps to go at the line. Still one stopper to the end of the race. That's why nobody pitted during that last caution, was because they were still outside the window to make it to the end. They didn't want to lose track position. Hope he's okay. I think he's still in the race. He came back down on all 4 after blowing over up on his nose against the catch fence. I don't know how. He was the one to get tight in the middle of the corner and go up the track. 4 yellows at 65 laps. So imagine the normal race length would be 200. So although it is slowing the race pace down, not too much considering it's only a 250-mile cup race. I have to say though, Truex is moving forward right now. 3 wide to the bottom. He may have a shot to get inside the top 10 after a great restart so far for the 1. Up to 14th off turn 3 that lap. Trying to side draft Shane Meal in the 0-8. Still a dangerous sport. Yes, it is. Especially in this time period. Truex to 13th. Trying to side draft. I think that Scott Riggs in the 10 to his outside. Rusty Wallace was not for position. Neither was Riggs. 3 wide to the bottom is Truex. Up to 12th. Kurt Busch was for position. 1 more lap. We'll go back to Dale Jr. Junior's still holding on to the lead. That drafting from Kurt Busch to the back of Casey Kane launched him back ahead of Truex. Truex has some damage, of course, and probably down on straightaway speed after being involved in the first wreck earlier today. AI-related wreck contact after a big bounce off the curb from Truex into Kurt Busch. And again, Truex back to 13th as a result. Deep dive in through turn 2, gets back around the 41 of Mears. Wonder if the right front fender's still in the red on Truex as well. For damage purposes, potentially. We'll go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the rest of the race. Jr. not able to pull away because of the drafting effects at Pocono. But he's having himself a good race today. Made his way from the middle of the pack once, and of course started at the rear with no practice or qualifying. Took to this track perfectly from the get-go. And seems to be maybe the one to beat. The window's open to make it on field at the end of the race, but nobody has pit yet. Had a caution in the middle of green flag stops last time, which is why half the field got trapped a lap down, but because it's such a long racetrack, that's what sent Junior towards the back of the field, because he was leading when the caution came out. So as soon as we start to see pit stops now, I think you have to consider hitting pit road. Although Junior would like to get the most laps led if at all possible, because he is battling Edwards for the regular season championship, and Edwards has led a lot of laps today as well. There are cars on pit road currently. 30 to go this time by. Again, windows open to the end of the race. And with that window open, Junior's going to pit from the lead. He's going to play it smart. Trying to get down to pit road speed. He does. 4 tires of fuel for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He'll top off. No adjustments. Green flag pit stop for himself for the first time today. Off and away goes the 8 of Dale Jr. He's definitely going to be back on the lead lap, pitting from the lead. This is in case we get another caution, he can restart from the lead next time. Edwards will remain out on the racetrack. Dale Jr. getting up to speed on the bottom. Could be plenty clear of anybody who has already hit pit road. It was a clean stop, no mistakes as well for the 8 team. He's got fresh tires again as well. We've seen a few engine failures today. A couple cautions on restarts. A blowover for Mark Martin. No debris cautions though, even through the 4 yellows in the race. Longer Carl Edwards stays out, the more of a chance he's going to have of leading the most laps today, but unfortunately, the more of a chance Dale Jr. is going to have of cycling back to the lead, and with a bigger and bigger lead at that. And it sounds like the leaders will be pitting this time. Is Edwards in? No, he will stay out, lead another lap. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the next dozen laps one final time in tonight's action. Again, we're in the second race of a doubleheader at Pocono for the Cup Series. 12 races to go in the regular season after this race today. Peter Conover, welcome into the stream. Edwards again will stay out of the pits, trying to get the most laps led. He comes in as the points leader. He's finished in the top 10 all but one race this season. That's how strong of a year Edwards has had so far. Definitely the most consistent. That's why he is, of course, deserving of that points lead. Couple wins to show for on top of it. I was coming out of the pit lane towards the bottom of the track that Dale Jr.'s easily got a cycle ahead of. Jr. wasn't the first car on the pit road, but he was one of the first few. Pitted with 31 laps to go. He's definitely good on fuel to the end. Everybody making these stops is going to have plenty of gas to make it to the end of the race. Riding around now. Junior hoping it stays great because he should cycle out with a pretty big lead. The only thing I can think of is with Edwards staying out, obviously he's losing more track position now. But is there a chance that maybe a caution comes out, or obviously, yeah, a caution comes out and he could end up taking on fresh tires to try and run Junior down to the end of the race? But the only thing I could think of, Junior hasn't restarted from the lead today, despite the 4 cautions we've seen and the fact that he has led a decent amount of laps in this race. Tell you what, I did not think I was going to have a shot to sweep the doubleheader today. I thought I was going to have a good run in the Busch Series race, and it was a dominating run. The Dodge Raceway, but this race at Pocono I didn't think was going to go as smoothly for Dale Jr. as it has. Considering that I knew there was going to be no practice or qualifying entering into the race. It has not phased this number 18 whatsoever. .24 to go. Bobby Labonte in the lead. Led that last lap to get 5 bonus points. Carl Edwards came in. Martin Truex Jr. is in this time. Waltrip still has to pit, I believe, in the 15. Truex was up to 13th the last we saw of him. He may have a shot at the top 10. He's outside the cutoff line for the chase coming into this race today in his rookie season. He also had a good run, finished 3rd at Dodge Raceway in the Busch race earlier today. Time for Chance 2 Motorsports. Michael Waltrip was up as high as 8th at one point before the 4th yellow came out. The most recent caution. Just over a dozen laps into this current green flag run right now. 23 to go and counting down. Michael Waltrip going to stay out. He'll receive 5 bonus points now, leading his first lap of the day. Dale Jr. is up to 4th. Gonna have a pretty big lead over Carl Edwards for pitting 6 to 7 laps before him. On a 2.5 mile bumpy racetrack, that is a massive difference. A few seconds a lap quicker on fresher tires. Michael Waltrip, the last car that still has to hit pit road, stayed out to get those bonus points. Hopefully it's not going to cost him too much in the running order. Waltrip staying out again. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. When will Michael Waltrip pit? Now leading multiple laps. Dale Jr. is about 1.1 seconds quicker than in that last lap. Dale Jr. is going to open up a big lead once this 15 car pits. Waltrip again staying out. I wonder if Waltrip stays out as long as he can and then just goes fuel only under the last stop to try and gain some positions. He's not going to be able to go much further, I wouldn't think. I'm surprised he's gone 3 laps further than the next closest car. 20 laps to go at Pocono. Try new Bluetooth wireless headphones. What kind do you have? I've heard the Bose ones work pretty good. I think those are the ones my dad has. I have these off-brand ones that work pretty well for myself though too. Lasted me since about August, September last year, so it's been almost a year I've had them. Waltrip finally gonna pit this time. I'm shocked he went as far as he did. About 6 laps longer than the next closest car. With about a 23-second lead, Michael Waltrip is in. He's giving up a lot of time. We'll see if he goes fuel only. Trying to gain some track position that way. It's gonna be risky, considering there is still 18 laps to go in this race, but we'll see. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back to the lead at Pocono officially when we get back to the start-finish line next time by. And he does have about 6 to 7 lap older tires compared to at least Edwards. I'm not even sure if Edwards is still in second or not. 5.5 seconds is the lead for Dale Jr. And obviously the second place car isn't really close enough to draft behind him to keep pace that way either. So it is going to be a tough go for Dale Earnhardt Jr., or for really anybody else other than Dale Jr. to win this race, especially if it stays green. AirPods are the way to go. Oh, Beats. I feel like there's a lot of big market brands that are in the headphone game. For the most part, it seems like Dale Jr. is pretty equal with the second place car. I want to give in and not push too hard if you're Dale Jr. right now. You have a clean air advantage for one, and for two, long laps around Pocono, even though there's just 16 laps to go. These restarts have been crazy. Just really hoping he gets to the end of this race and have it stay green. First win of the season for Dale Jr. came on a 50% race. All the way back at the California Speedway. That was fuel mileage. This one, not fuel mileage today. Very straightforward as far as strategy went. And can Dale Jr. go on to lead the most laps today with this win if he leads from down to the finish? Second place has gained about 0.2 of a second on in total, but that's within about the last 3 laps combined. I think Junior's sitting in a pretty good spot. Go back to the far chase game for the rest of this race when we get back to the start-finish line next time by. 29 likes on the stream, 1 away from 30. We'll see if we can do that. Like and subscribe down in the... I almost said in the chat. I can't really do it in the chat, but like and subscribe if you have not already down below. For more daily NASCAR content. Live race commentary will be tomorrow night for our next live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Truck Series race at Nashville. Under the lights. Hot, slick evening there, I'm sure. Race at Nashville last year was pretty good. I'm sure this weekend is going to be fun to watch with all 3 series as well. We're doing live commentary for the Cup Series race on Sunday at Nashville also. I think second is Carl Edwards, but my gut says Bobby Labonte's in second. Yeah, it's probably one of those two. Tony Stewart was looking pretty fast most of the day also. I haven't seen Jeff Gordon in a while. I wonder if he's still in the race. He must have fell back on some of those restarts. He started the day off really good after qualifying on the pole. I definitely know he's not going to have a shot to lead the most laps. I think Edwards and Earnhardt both led more than him up to this point. Hey, well, good thing everybody's all right over there, Santiago kid. I'm shocked at how easy this track is to drive. And the nice thing about hitting the setup without practice or qualifying is obviously you hit the setup right. For 2, the Cup Series is the only series that races here in this game and in the 2005 season in real life. So I won't have to worry about trying to find a setup for the truck or the Busch Series. I have the Cup Series, that's it. It's in this game. It's already set up, ready to go. I don't have to worry about trying to find the setup again any other race here. And obviously there's still one more this season within, I think, in like 6 more races we come back to Pocono in the 500-mile event. It's halfway in fuel, but again, plenty good to the end. 11 laps to go this time by as Dale Jr. just logging in some easy laps. 30 likes on the stream now, by the way. Thank you, everybody, for hitting that like button and already subscribing. Road to 3,000 subs, but most importantly, the road to becoming a NASCAR commentator for future NASCAR races down the road. By the way, I knew Joji said AirPods all the way. I have not used them. Is there really a bad brand out there, notably? when it comes to earbuds or headphones. I feel like if it's wireless, you're fine. You just get a tangle and everything if it's not wireless. Doesn't matter whether like you're at the gym or just walking randomly and you get it caught in your clothing and rip one out. I do that with this earpiece in my ear that's not wireless, not on a nightly basis. Probably once every couple weeks I'll accidentally rip it out of my ear. 10 to go. No word on Dale Jr. leading the most laps. It's going to be close between him and Edwards for the most laps led. Jr. had a shot to lead more if he would have stayed out as long as he could, but he wanted to make sure he was going to cycle into the lead. That's why he pitted early. That, and in case, mainly, if a caution came out, he wasn't going to restart back in traffic, because that's what happened earlier in the race during a caution flag. Just shy of the midway point, that second yellow came out. This will be the longest green flag run of the day to the end of the race as well. If it stays green, it'll be a 36-lap green flag run. 9 more laps around the 2.5-mile triangular intermediate racetrack, Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Place Jr. won at multiple times in his Cup career, both in 2014, getting the Pocono sweep. And this time period in 05, it would be him looking for his first career Pocono victory. And it'd be the 6th win of the Cup Series season, still having him with the most wins on the Cup Series side so far. And of course, getting that sweep today, winning the Busch race, winning the Cup race, great bounce back performance after a DNF. 2 races ago in the Coke 600, and 2 laps down at Dover, finishing all the way back in the 36th position. A couple laps down on Monday night. 8 to go. With the number 8. So about 5 to 5.1 seconds ahead of second. Really wanting to make sure nobody blows an engine, because that's where we could see another caution. That's where we saw the last, well, not the last one, but one of them. Joe Nemechek got ran into by Sykes in the 145 in turn 2. After Nemechek had blown an engine. Further wrecked him out of the race after that incident. Jimmy's starting to pick the pace up just a little bit these last couple laps. Just wants to be close enough to the finish. If we do see a yellow, it could end under yellow and not get another restart. Right now, a little too far out. We would definitely have a restart. Six to go, this time by. Probably going to have to get it down at least to 5 to go. Probably anything less than 3 would be more safe. Right rear tire starting to wear out on the 8 just a little bit. Cause the car to get maybe a little bit looser. Hasn't made any adjustments today. The caution's playing out earlier though. This is going to be the longest tire stint he's going to have to go. Green flag laps again, with it being a 36 lap stretch to the end. Could have been a fuel mileage race if it was the full race at about 36 laps. With this being a 50%er, it made it a little easier. 5 laps to go. Just constantly looking on the upper right-hand corner of the screen on the track map to see if there's anybody slow. Haven't seen it. Not really going to be able to notice it in the middle of the pack. Now the lefter wearing out on Dale Jr.'s race car as well. Still sitting at about a 4.8 to 4.9 second lead. He's at 5.5 when he had cycled to the lead with about 16 to go. So over the last 12 laps, he's only given up about 0.7 of a second back to second place. And a lot of that difference is the 6 to 7 lap older tires Junior has by pitting that much sooner before likely either Edwards or Labonte, who was in second. Potentially Tony Stewart. Not sure exactly when he pit, but he could be in second as well. 4 to go. Plus there's drafting help for those guys, at least on the straightaways where Junior's by himself. That's probably where the majority of the time is actually being made up. Those tires would have evened out by this point in the run by now, considering it was only a few laps fresher. You're about double the amount of laps in compared to how much fresher your tires were, and that'll just gradually even out over time, no matter what the track is and handling. Well, the roughest surface on the circuit in this 2005 season's right here in Pocono. Dale Jr. going to work his way off turn 3 this time. 3 laps to go for Earnhardt. One of the cleanest races of the year in the Cup Series for Dale Jr. as well. Looking for the deserving win. Definitely got a lot better through turn 2 compared to what he was earlier in the day. I think the clean air has a lot to do with it. Again, he didn't make any adjustment changes during either of the 3 stops so far today. 2 to go this time by. 4.6 seconds ahead of second place. Late enough now, caution comes out. The race is going to end under the yellow. Still not noticing any slow cars on the track at this moment. When we get to the final lap, the next flag will end the race. And it will be the checkered flag, because no cautions come out on the final lap in these EA Sports NASCAR video games. Not as dominating as the first race today. I don't think any race I'll ever have on this NASCAR 6 game will come close to the domination Dale Jr. had in the Busch Series race at Dodge Raceway in the first race of the doubleheader on this stream. But this one, maybe not as dominant, but equates to just as much, if not more, with it being a cup race. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go, less than a 4.5 second lead for Dale Jr. as he's really backed his pace up the last few laps. And leading that lap, he has just clinched the most laps led coming to the white flag. So it's going to be a max point state for Dale Earnhardt Jr. guaranteed when he gets back to the checkered flag this time by. How about that? Knew it was going to be close between him and Edwards, and it came down to the final lap before finding out who was exactly going to get the most laps led. One more corner for Dale Jr. Over a 4-second victory. Not complete domination, but nonetheless he will lead the most laps despite no practice or qualifying and starting at the rear of the field. Dale Jr. is a 6-time winner on this 2005 season, and he wins the first of 2 Pocono races. One is great, but 2 is even greater. That's what Dale Jr. was able to accomplish today in both races. 2 victories. Getting the sweep. Burning it down on the front stretch. And a smoke show in front of the crowd at the Long Pond Pennsylvania racetrack. We'll take a look at those finishing results. 36 laps led today for Dale Earnhardt Jr., 32 for Carl Edwards, 24 for Jeff Gordon. Tony Stewart finished in second with no laps led today. Carl Edwards with 32 laps led, as I just mentioned, finished in third. Jeff Gordon fourth. Greg Biffle rounds out the top 5. Mark Martin, after blowing over, finishes in 6th. That is unbelievable. He blew over in turn 2 into the catch fence and finishes in 6th. What a strong race car. Kurt Busch finishes in 7th. Ryan Newman ended up 8th. Mike Bliss with another top 10, finishing 9th. Bobby Labonte did not cycle out well. He was in the top 4 before those last pit stops during green flag conditions. Maybe made a bad adjustment, whatever the case, fell back to 10th. He did lead 3 laps during the race today, getting 5 bonus points as well. Jerry Fasnat, thanks for the $10 super chat. Congrats to the sweep of the night. Appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. Truex ended up finishing 16th. No laps led. It's as high as 13th. Michael Waltrip was in 8th at one point for Mark Martin, blew over in front of him. He did lead 5 laps during green flag pit stops today, which actually kind of cycled him further back in the field because I think he was at least in the top 20 and ended up finishing 23rd after his late 4 tire stop. And we had just 27 cars finish on the lead lap today in total. Only 3 engine failures. Terry Labonte, John Andretti, and Joe Nemechek. And we saw Nemechek wreck at lap 41 as well. And one of the accidents as he got piled into from Darrell Sykes. Wreck and come back to the top 10. Not just that wreck. He blew over in turn 2. He had a blowover. Car was backwards and then it caught air underneath and he went into the catch fence at turn 2 and he still finishes in 2nd. How he didn't DNF, I don't know. How he's alive, I don't know. And the fact that he still finishes as well as he did, gets a top 10, what a day for Mark Martin. I think he's only got a couple top 10s on the year as it is. Next race is going to be the Batman Begins 400 at Michigan. Only 100% races going forward for all 3 series on NASCAR 06 for the rest of the season. Following the 14th race of the year today at the Tricky Triangle. But off to Michigan, my home track, a track Dale Jr. ran really well at. More so with his Hendrick Motorsport days. Still pretty good with DEI there as well. I think he's going to have a good shot at a good run. 197 points out of first, gained a little bit on Edwards, who ended up finishing 3rd today, but a max points day for Earnhardt. I think he outpointed him by 20. And Dale Jr. moves up 2 spots in the standings as well, from 6th to 4th. A lot of drivers in the top 10 of points finishing the top 10 today as well. Mike Bliss at the top 10 on the outside looking in behind Ryan Newman. He had a poor run at Dover, which cost him. He finished outside the top 30. But a quick bounce back performance today, and he closes that gap ever so slightly. And a big gap back to Kevin Harvick in 12th. In the standings, Truex is still 17th in points, and Michael Waltrip is 24th. I think he was 26th going in, so he gained a couple spots with his finish today. Alrighty, that's going to wrap things up today. Thanks for tuning in for our Thursday night doubleheader. No more NASCAR 06 or any NASCAR video game live streams until Monday. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, but there will be a live stream tomorrow night, and actually 2 of them throughout the course of the Nashville Super Speedway weekend for NASCAR. Truck Series live commentary tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the Cup Series on Sunday evening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our stream will actually start at 4:30, but coverage for that race will be a little bit earlier on. Thanks for everybody again watching. I will see you guys in the next one.